Hi, today I'm going to take you out to the garden to show you some of the produce that I have this year. This is a small sampling. These are from volunteer plants, from plants I planted last year. They came up and produced these tomatoes. These were originally Jetstar tomatoes, and I also have some Roma tomatoes here as well. I'm going to show you a super easy way on how to process these tomatoes for sauce. There's hardly any effort involved, and I think it results in a super great sauce. That's up next here on Bud's Odd Jobs. So in an earlier video I mentioned that I didn't put out a very big garden this year. I had planted some cucumbers, some squash. I had a bunch of volunteer tomato plants that you can see coming up here. These plants are all volunteers from the plants that I put in last year. I put in 5 plants. 4 of them were Jetstars tomatoes, and 1 was a Roma plant. And as you can see, man, they're just loaded. We've already picked several gallons of tomatoes that we have in our freezer. I'll show you those in just a minute. And we also have these are the Roma tomato volunteers. As you can see, those are just loaded on the vine here as well. So we have tons of Roma, tons of these Jetstar tomatoes that are growing. So every one of these plants I put a number of 12 plants in, and I've got so many tomatoes that we've got our freezer full, and I've been taking tomatoes at work to give away as well. Here you can see we have some pretty large tomatoes. These were the smaller plants, and they're just producing like crazy. In addition to the tomatoes, I put in both zucchini squash and yellow squash. There's a nice zucchini squash. You can see there's some cucumbers here as well. This cucumber plant, I put about 3 or 4 cucumbers in, and that was from seed that I gathered from last year. And they're still blossoming, and I'm still getting cucumbers off of this. I'll show you some of that produce as well. The yellow squash was here. It's pretty much done. There's one very large cuke in here that I'm going to use for seed. There it is. I don't know if you can see the size of that thing, but it's just huge. And then, in addition to that, if you recall, I had put in a watermelon plant, and I'm really surprised. I never had much luck with watermelon, but there you can see one. There's a huge one down here beside the pump. Here's another angle on that particular watermelon, and then down here is another very big watermelon, and you can see by my hand, I think, just the size of that thing. So we're anxious to try those watermelon to see how well they do. I have a total of about 6 watermelon that were produced from that one single plant. And in addition to the watermelon, we have a full load of raspberries this year. These are ever-bearing red raspberries, so they're doing nicely too. Okay, so here we are down at our basement deep freeze, and as you can see, I've got this several bags of tomatoes bagged up. We use these 1-gallon Ziploc bags, and so we just fill the bags up with tomatoes. And as I mentioned, to process these, basically all we do is core the tomato. I've taken one out of the bag here, you can see. We basically core the top of the tomato and leave the skin on. And then when it freezes, it's hard as a rock. But then I'll take it up and let me show you how easy it is then to use these to make sauce. Okay, so as I mentioned, it's very easy to process this tomato for sauce. This is the frozen tomato. So whenever you're ready to make either a sauce, I use these for chili as well. You simply basically get this water hot. Actually, it doesn't even have to be hot, warm, and rub it under the water. And these as you can see, the peel comes right off. That easy. Completely off, and you're ready to put this in the stock pot. And they cook down very good to make a delicious sauce or chili. And you just take a couple of those gallon bags, remove the skin like I just did, throw them in the stock pot, and cook them down, and before you know it, you've got a nice rich sauce. And here's a sampling of some of the cukes that we harvested from the garden, as well as a yellow squash. Hey, to wrap this up, I want to say thanks for watching today. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We've got more interesting content coming available, and really appreciate you watching today. See you next time.